pattern has consistently been, and how can we overcome that pattern? So that's definitely what
Let
I'm
me
saying.
tell you, let me tell you a challenge being a white male is that when you are part of the dominant privileged class, and that's really what we're looking at, you're not aware of these other non-dominant groups unless you choose to be. And so when I was talking about locking of the doors, a colleague and friend of mine, Perry Carter, we were both at the University of Kentucky at the same time. Mm-hmm. He was doing a postdoc there, and I was living there and working with some of the folks. And only walking through a parking lot with him at a university in Lexington, Kentucky, and literally hearing doors lock because I'm with the African-American male, could I truly understand the bizarre nature of someone's skin color being a little bit darker than mine and this weird effect that it has. Because as a white guy, that never happened to me. Only walking with my friend did that occur. And could I then say, with a level of sympathy and empathy, this is nuts. I mean, this is the most harmless guy here. You know, he'll take a housefly and take it outside. The idea that this guy's a threat is crazy. And the fact that they perceive this guy as a threat because of his skin color rather than some sort of violent behavior, unless I experienced that, and it never would have happened to me. So there's a level of empathy needed to understand a different position.
Well, let's drill down on that then. Let's drill down. What about the number of times that black people have said this is a problem? You know, I mean, how many different ways can and in the back of my head, I do have the answer to my own question because of my own personal experiences. But I want to hear from you. What about all the times that people have said that this is a problem? Black people have said that, you know, that there's a disparate treatment, a fear of blackness that goes on. Why did it take you having to experience it with a black person before it registered with you?
No, I mean, I think it registered, but it was the first time I sort of experienced it firsthand. I mean, I understand from multiple perspectives that there's unfairness out there, unequal wages, people aren't treated the same. If you put two resumes up, the best resume wins. And if you insert a photo, often that biases stuff where people want to hire themselves, people that look like themselves, behave like themselves. And so whoever's in the dominant position ends up hiring people that look like them and behave like them. But it's just somehow the visceral experience of being there on site, on hand, and having that, because it wasn't that I saw it through him, I felt it through me, because it wasn't just him being treated that, I was also being treated that way. So sort of like walking in someone else's shoes. You can understand it intellectually that, you know, from numbers and from, you know, comments, etc. But experiencing that firsthand transforms something in a very, very real way for someone. And so I would argue part of if you want to really true it, you know, you need to walk in someone else's shoes for a while.
So saving a miraculous day where everyone white in the world gets a chance to walk in the minority shoes.
And vice versa.
So then let me double back before I even ask that question. What do you mean by vice versa? How would this conversation benefit from me walking in Dr. Butler's shoes?
Because I think it would be a very different experience for you walking through. I think the patterns of your day would be different depending on where you live and what you're doing. Walking through I know if mine is different walking with and through someone else's shoes or through their eyes, then I suspect walking through or with my eyes would be quite different as well.
Okay, so
let's say if I have bad customer service, I will go up there and I will demand to speak to a supervisor, owner, etc., until I get satisfied to what I need, because that is my expectation. I don't even question that my expectations should be met. However, if I was a minority, women, if I was a woman, if I was color, I would have to second guess me saying, I expect satisfaction, I expect level of service, I expect whatever, raise this to a certain level. They may not even be accommodating. They may not respect my purchasing power, my ability to repeat my positionality in society. I may literally be just shut down.
Okay. So then more so if I walked a day, well, let me ask the question again so I can make sure I'm hearing the right answer. Let's say we switch shoes for a day. I can tell you what you would experience on my end that I think would be beneficial to this type of dialogue. I would tell you that you would get doors locked on you. You would not feel comfortable jogging in a hoodie, even though it's 30 degrees outside. You would not, like you said, second guess power structures, simple things as though I expect that you handle this for me. The little subtle things like that you would experience on any given day. If I were to take your shoes, what would you want me to see that would lend something to this conversation?
I think you would be surprised at how much you disappear, that you're not viewed in a particular way. And I think you'd probably be surprised at how maybe easy or easier it is to walk through patterns in life. And this is not just if you were female, it'd be also different. But just straight skin color. I mean, we're both basically of the same class because we're both educated folks and all that. So, but even if you remove class structure, I came from a blue collar family, one of the first to go to college in my family, et cetera. So first to graduate. So the idea is that, I came from what people consider sort of white trash, and I've sort of bought my way up in the system. But I can reflect back what it was running around barefoot, cut off shoes in a migration neighborhood in Houston, Texas. And now I drive that neighborhood now, and also reflect about where I'm allowed to live now, et cetera. And it's quite different. So I think you would find the world to be somewhat surreal walking through my shoes, not from a class perspective, but definitely from a skin color perspective, and what deference would be given to you, what you say and how you do stuff, and probably the struggle, small little subtle things that add up over time that you have to be worried about. Wearing the hoodie, for example, you'd be surprised at how easy it is and how smooth it is to go through dominant society.
Well, I mean, I think that's the whole. I don't think I'd be surprised. I think I would be. Okay. It would go right in line with what the entire conversation is. The reason we're having conversations across the nation like this, in general, is because we're saying that we see. And even though we're not walking in your shoes, we do see the ease with which whiteness can just be and exist, and not have these little concerns that add up over time, and then have these big concerns that could kill you. You can, a run in with the law that could easily turn south because you talk back, different things like that. And that's the reason I think we're having these conversations across the nation, is because we want that ease. We want to blend in. We don't want to have the doors locked when we pass by, or people, and I know this crosses a lot of other demographics, but just speaking specifically from the African American perspective, is like, that's the goal, right? So I don't think we would be surprised as much as we would be like, you know what, if I could have this and still have my black skin, I'd never go back. I would never switch to being a part of the non-dominant culture because of the ability to simply blend in and never have to worry about those little things that add up, and then sometimes those big things that could just, come out of nowhere. Yeah. I'll let you get the last word on that, and then I want to ask you about the McGraw-Hill book.
Yeah, no, I think what happens, I mean, again, being empathetic, is the small things add up over time, and they wear you down. Mm-hmm. I mean, quite simply, it just wears you down. And though I have stresses and struggles of life, et cetera, all these come from decisions and all that. But very few ever come from the fact that I'm a white male professional. I mean, I don't wake up in the morning going, gosh, if I could just wake up and not be a white male professional, my life would be so much easier. A white male professional in the United States, that's the global hegemon. Boy, life would be so much easier if that was. I mean, never have I ever woken up with that thought.
I think I'll have to tweet you on that one, quote you on that one. That's a good one. That's the truth. Yeah.
And so the idea is that those little aggregated small things, whenever I go somewhere, I'm not worried about, it's not like, hey, I'm worried about, power authorities challenging me, because I feel privileged enough to say, You challenge me, I have rights, and I will use them to my maximum ability. Don't think I won't quote the law. Don't think I could go hire, a handful of attorneys to take you on, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And so there's never, it's never been a problem. And so I don't have those little things that add up over time into something that's huge, sitting on the shoulder, sitting on your head, or like you said, potentially life-threatening that come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Just one final story. When I was at Texas A&M, my alma mater, Giga Maggie's, one woman I worked for, African-American woman, super great, she's just a really nice lady. And we talked racial issues. I've always been interested in this. And she said she had a couple of sons. She said she always told her sons, whatever happens, if they're ever pulled over by the police, this is what you do. You're super polite. You follow all these rules, etc. And I was like, I couldn't understand why she was educating them on being pulled over by the police. And again, I was, 18, 19, 20 years old. I was a little less experienced then. And what I realized was she's saying this probability of being pulled over by police, very high, just because of skin color. And number two, chances of you and the chances of something happening to you by being smart out teenager is much higher as well. Therefore, for self-protection, here are the things you must do, as if they're going into a foreign country. Get your shots. Don't look at somebody. Hold your passport here. It was almost like traveling for safety sort of scenario. And I found that conversation very enlightening, that never did my parents ever have to tell me, by the way, when driving, when you're pulled over by police, don't smart aleck, don't do this, don't do this, or they'll handcuff you and I'll have to come bail you out of jail because your skin color. Yeah. So these are conversations I never had because they weren't necessary. But here they were in the 1990s that are still being had because of that safety issue.
Right. That was a conversation that I had with my parents. And the goal is that I don't have to have that with my son and my daughter before they get driving age. I think quite literally that could be a tangible goal that there would come that time. One thing that I experienced differently as an adult than I did as a teen, because as a teen, I got pulled over when I was in college in Daytona Beach. I was one of the few freshmen with a vehicle because it was a very small college. I got pulled over every weekend. Every time I went out, I got pulled over without question. I don't experience that as much as an adult, but as an adult, I experience it differently. I experience it as kind of the pat on the back or the pat on the head saying, oh, you're such a good, you're a good this, oh, your family is beautiful and you guys are so, this and that. And at a point it becomes, it does come from the years of chips building up on my shoulder and the years of this police encounter could go south. But it manifests today in the fact where I just don't want you to I don't need your approval. I don't need your pat on the back. I don't need you to tell me, oh, your kids are so well behaved. I don't need you to tell me you're such a good father. It's kind of like, I don't want you to tell me anything anymore. Just let me blend in. I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be the good model of X or the good model of Y. Just let me come and let me blend in like any other American would blend in or any other human would blend in. And I think that goes back to your comment of, if I was white, nobody would come in me and say, oh man, you're such a great this, or your family is so beautiful, or this, that, and the other. And I don't know, maybe that's just, like I said, the years and years and years of having to worry about our perceptions and how people perceive you in their space and whether or not they have to, having to make them comfortable. That's the other thing that you would experience if you walk today in a black man's shoe or a black woman's shoe, is the thing in the back of your mind that says this white person is probably uncomfortable around me. How can I make my space more comfortable for them? And then after a while, you just say, to hell with that, be uncomfortable. It's those little things like that are that I don't think I've ever said out loud before today. I'll let you get the last word on that.
Yeah. And it's funny, you're saying that being pulled over by police today, you're treated as this token, idealized family of good behavior. Not unlike Rupert Murdoch suggesting Carson is this ideal model of a black president. So it's the same pandering that's going on. But, Margaret, who just came in here, going back to making people feel comfortable. Margaret's one of the workers here at the university, and, she cleans our building, one of the people that cleans our office. it's easy for people to sort of